back from Team JTR.Spartacus. We're going to be tackling the Zautomotive camera kit. This is a front camera kit. Got this from Bad Attitude Off-Road, so shout out to Jason for hooking me up with this. So this kit comes with a JL bracket. You'll see right there, that's the JL bracket. That's a JL specific one, but there is now a new JT Gladiator one that the folks from Zautomotive were nice enough to send out. You'll also need a taser for this. So go ahead and click on the link above if you need information about the taser.
Hey guys, Brian with Team JTR.Spartacus. We're going to go ahead and start wiring this video front camera for JTR.Spartacus. So we brought the wires and getting started.
Stay tuned and please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates. Here's some tools and supplies you'll need.
Alright, so getting a hole through the firewall, it's going to be a little tough to see here. Just so you can kind of see where we're going. On a stick shift, a manual, you have to get under the passenger side footwell. And there is a box back there. We'll break away to it, but this is trying to show you where it is. It's kind of up and to the right if you were sitting in the passenger seat, about where your right foot would be. And that's where you cut through. So I just took a little blade, cut an opening, and pushed this screwdriver, this long screwdriver through, so we have an opening for the wires to route. They're quite large, so I routed them from the inside out because there's just two of this size coax style, or not coax, but RGB style connectors on the other side. So a lot easier to push through the firewall if you work from the inside out. So here we are coming out. Not sure if you can see that very well, but the Romex is coming out, and I just taped the wires to it and I'm pulling them through. We're under the battery box for reference. Very hard to see, but there it is. Okay, so I have the wires loosely routed. As you can see, the inside part with this power, this part goes over to the 12 volt cigarette lighter plug, and then this is going to go to the back. Sorry. This is going to go to the back of the radio up here. So now it's time to go ahead and we got to remove this piece here to get it out of the way. This piece here is going to have to come out of the way, and we're going to get this out. So I've got this trim tool, I got these from Amazon, and we're gonna try to get in here. I'm not gonna be able to film this probably while I do it, but I think we just have to get in between here and kind of push that out. So I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, so I successfully removed the HVAC unit here. It's not so much prying as it's getting one of these trim tools kind of behind it and making the opening a little bigger, and then kind of getting your hands in there and open it, doing the same thing over here, and then just pull the whole thing. It took a fair amount of force, but none of the clips broke or anything, so this one looks a little messed up, but it's not broken. But it's much more of just kind of pulling it straight out, so you don't really want to pry at an angle, and I think that's what I started to do here a little bit. It's a little bit messed up, but it'll go back okay. Highly recommend, from past experience, putting just a little bit of petroleum jelly in these when you put this back together. And since we have it open, we'll probably just wipe all this down a little bit with a clean rag just to get everything kind of clean inside. My Jeep's a little dirty right now. So we'll be taking off this connector here and this connector here just to get this out of the way and set this neatly out of the way. So stay tuned. So now that the HVAC stuff is out of the way, there are two screws that hold this bezel in place. There's one there and there's one there, just regular old Phillips. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way and get that part off. So the screws are out, and we'll be using this little trim piece, or one of these trim pieces, to pull this off. It's just held on with a bunch of clips, and we'll get that off of there. So all those screws removed, and I kind of have the radio just sort of balancing here. It's not kind of hanging, it's just sort of balancing there. You want to definitely be careful with that, obviously, but we need to get to the back of it. We're going to need to route that yellow wire that we've got down here on the floor up through behind here to the back, and then we're going to need to get in here and connect some pins to enable that to be a connector. So the access we're going to need is it back here. You kind of have to, this little arm here, you're going to have to raise this up. I'm trying to show you that pretty carefully here, and raise that up and carefully pull that out. And then we're going to have to raise the red terminal locking plate off the main connector. So we'll have to look at that separately. I'll try to give you some insight into that, but I need both my hands. I was able to get this red plate, connector plate, off of the plug, and that's going to give us access to the backs of these pins in the back here. So we're going to carefully do that, but what I found is just using a very small precision screwdriver and prying on the ends, it's basically clipped on the two ends, so just carefully prying that off, was able to get it off pretty easily. These had to go into 21 and 22. The yellow one went in 21, which is the bottom one there, and I'm not sure how well you can see that. And then the black one goes in 22, which is the top one there. And then you'll see this is coming out, and that's our connection point. So we'll get this back together and see if this worked out okay, get the red cover back on, get everything going. But what you'll see is we now, before, you'll see my hand there, before we had nothing here, where the tip of my thumb is, and we actually have two connection points. One's the black one and one's the yellow one. So that hopefully will work out correctly, and that's what the directions from Zauto say, that for 2020 it goes into yellow in 21 and black in 22. So hopefully this works out. So to run the power off of the cigarette lighter, I decided to go ahead and remove this. I want to get a little space to run the wiring behind here and pull the Romex back through with the attachment on it, and then I'll be able to run the other wire, the yellow wire, up to there through it. So I think your mileage may vary. We'll see how this works out. But I think if I pull this back a little bit, I don't even think I need to remove it. I think if I just pull it back a little bit, it'll give me some space to work in here. So I reached down, there's just a tab in here, this blue tab on the back of the cigarette lighter 12-volt outlet, and you just pull that out, and then you'll see that looks just like the harness they give you, because you're going to plug that back in, and you're going to plug this in line to get the power, and that way you'll power your camera and you'll power your cigarette lighter, so you don't lose your cigarette lighter on this deal. So I'll get that wrapped up, and I got the wire just loosely run up here. I'll figure out how I'm routing it here in a minute. So the cigarette lighter's hooked back up. I found that there's a little, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little opening right here. I'm just going to try to run this wire up under here. I'm going to have to zip tie it to something, and then it runs to the back of the radio, and then we can reinstall the radio. So I'm not going to do the reinstallation. It's the same thing. There's just those 4 screws. We'll put those back in, but it's just the opposite of removing it. So here you see it oriented the correct direction. You see that sort of, I don't know what that is, but there's a little thing in there, an indexed in there, and the holes line up perfectly fine. So that's incorrect now. We'll get that screwed in back together and get the pieces back together. So we're going to do a trial run before I button everything up. I'm going to attach the camera up here. I just have it coming through the way I routed. They did give you some, give you one piece of the shrink tube, and I cut it in half for each of the wires to go on. And we'll just get those attached. Obviously pretty simple. Here's the camera lead, and it's just not in any connector or anything right now. So I'm not going to close anything up yet. I'm going to get the connector in there where I need it, and the bracket in where I need it. It just sits in the grill, and get that all done, but I want to get at least a test case so I can button up the inside. So I just did the full reboot. I enabled the cargo camera function in Taser, and I did the full reboot, and it's doing its little reboot thing. And then the directions tell us to do 2 full sleep cycles. So we'll come in, turn the vehicle on, Turn back off, lock the doors, move the keys away, leave for about 5 minutes. I've got everything just kind of sitting here for right now in case there's an issue so I don't have to tear into the dash again. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna do the full sleep cycles. You see the little hood open alarm, so we'll get that closed too so that doesn't cause any issues. All right, so I've done 2 sleep cycles, moment of truth. And it'll be in the controls menu. And there it's showing up cargo camera. So it doesn't actually show up as forward facing camera, but it shows up as cargo camera. And boom, there we have a picture. So now it's all gonna be about lining it up. So everything is enabled. So I'm gonna button all this up and get it cleaned up, get all the routing zip tied and cleaned up, and then we'll get that camera pointed and squared away. Not HD, but not terrible quality. It's not bad at all. So that's just sitting, obviously you can see it's all crooked, just sitting out there hanging by the wire up in front of my bumper. So pretty successful so far. We'll get this all put back together and get it cleaned up, and I'll give you final results. Stay tuned. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this. Seems to be working great. Decent picture. It's not HD, but it's decent quality that you can see pretty well. And so I'm going to try it out a little bit driving around, and we'll see how it does. Like I said, overall, not too bad. Just something you have to take your time, have some patience. Seems to work pretty well. Decent picture, decent orientation. I had to play around with it a little bit to get it straight. There's a little access hole in the bottom of the Gladiator specific bracket that you can actually turn the camera once you get it in there tight. I figured that out. Took me a little bit. The bull bar in there, a little bit in the way, but it's doable. It's nothing that's gonna bother me too much. Seems to work well. So first impression is it's definitely worth it. Shout out to Jason at Bad Attitude Off-Road for hooking me up with this and the taser. Great service and good suggestion. This is definitely something I'll be able to use off-road, so just trying it out on the road right now. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and the notification bell for more. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching from Team JTR.Spartacus. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button today. See you on the trails.